Editorial. There's a Hole in My Bucket by Jeffrey O. Brown. Jeffrey O. Brown, Ph.D., is the Associate Editor of Ministry and an Associate Ministerial Secretary of the General Conference of Seventh-day Adventists, Silver Spring, Maryland, United States. Quote, "There's a hole in my bucket, dear Liza, dear Liza. There's a hole in my bucket, dear Liza, a hole." End quote. This beloved children's song, found across cultures, is based on a protracted dialogue between two characters, Henry and Liza. A leaky bucket leads to a deadlock situation. Henry's bucket leaks, so Liza tells him to repair it. To fix the leaky bucket, Henry needs straw. To cut the straw, he needs a knife. To use the knife, Henry needs to sharpen it. The sharpening stone must be damp, so he needs water. To fetch water, Henry needs a bucket. But there's a hole in the bucket. This 400-year-old nursery rhyme is a humorous depiction of futility, going around in circles. In fact, the word futility comes from the Latin futilis, which means, quote, leaky, end quote. Jeremiah says, there's a problem with the people, church members, priests, church pastors, and prophets, church leaders. We are broken cisterns that hold no water. God cannot use us to his fullest because of holes in our bucket. What's the solution? Admit it. First, admit it. Quote, my people have committed 2 sins, end quote. There's a hole in my bucket. God's church will get to the promised land. God will win the game. But he will have to take non-performing players off the pitch. Pastor, I know you've been playing for a long time, but that's the problem. You've been playing. Your bucket is leaking. God can, God must, bring on substitutes to win the game for him. Jesus calls pastors of all denominations, quote, my people, end quote. He's calling them out because he wants to bring them in to preach the everlasting gospel. In many places, the gospel work is stagnant and in some places non-existent. What is God to do? Bring on substitutes. Quote, and I will give you pastors according to mine heart, which shall feed you with knowledge and understanding. End quote. Look through the names of Bible authors, the genealogy of Jesus and Hebrews chapter 11's Hall of Faith. The message of Scripture is that God will use someone you don't choose. Confess it. Quote, my people have committed 2 sins, end quote. The first sin is forsaking living water. Quote, the priests did not ask, where is the Lord? Those who deal with the law did not know me. End quote. Pastors, God is calling us back to the altar. Quote, turn, O backsliding children, saith the Lord, for I am married unto you. End quote. If your bucket has a leak, your altar may be weak. No regular prayer life, no disciplined Bible study, no thematic preaching plan, no systematic visitation program, no community engagement activity, no consistent evangelistic outreach, no healthy diet and exercise regime, no organised weekly day off and annual vacation, no structured time with your family, no planned intimacy with your spouse, no faithful tithes and offerings. Leaky buckets. Address it. The first sin is forsaking living water. The second sin is embracing broken cisterns. Broken cisterns can be broken systems. Who is missing from your system? My wife, Patty Jean, and I were in Iceland this summer and toured Lava Cave. Our guide illustrated how dark it was. Quote, turn off your phones and helmet lights, end quote, she said. Switching off the cave lights. Quote, when anyone feels it's too uncomfortable, shout, lights, end quote. We were enveloped in thick darkness. It got uncomfortable. Suddenly a child shouted, quote, lights, end quote. Immediately the guide switched on the lights. We were thankful for that child. You see, when you sit in darkness for so long, You don't care who brings the light. You don't care if they are adult or child, able-bodied or differently abled, indigenous or immigrant, white or black, male or female. You just thank God for the light. The message of the New Testament is, quote, involve everyone, end quote. Adventist Church President Ted Wilson says, quote, no matter your age, nationality or gender, God is calling you to be part of his mission, end quote. If we don't believe it, and if we don't practice it, there's a hole in our bucket. There's a hole in my bucket. I'm admitting it, confessing it, and addressing it. I don't want to be substituted. What about you? Let's ask God to fix our leaky buckets. For bibliographical and biblical references on this article, and for much more content for pastors and church leaders, please visit ministrymagazine.org.